Hey, everybody. I just got off with Chris Jansing reports, and we did some Epstein talk, so you can stick around for that. But we got into something that I did not get to on the podcast today, which is about Columbia University just totally capitulating to Donald Trump and paying a $220 million ransom to Linda McMahon and the Trump administration for their actions, following the October 7th attacks. This university, I got to tell you, they made the wrong decision at every turn. Just the way they let the protests get out of control with outside agitators, I totally botched it initially. It's like they capitulated to these outside groups that were, creating havoc on their campus first, and now they're capitulating to Donald Trump as he's trying to bully and pressure a private institution. So more on that in my conversation with Chris Jansing. That's up next. Make sure to subscribe to the feed. We'll be seeing you soon.
Columbia University is paying up big to settle a months-long fight with the Trump administration. They're giving the government $200 million to restore the majority of the funding that was cut over allegations that the university failed to protect Jewish students during last year's pro-Palestinian protests. But the New York Times now warns making a deal with the White House brings its own risks for Columbia, challenging the limits of the private university's independence.
It doesn't cross the red lines that we laid out. It protects our academic integrity. That was, of course, essential to us. And two, it does reset our relationship with the federal government in terms of research funding. And that's, there's many headlines about $400 million. This is really access to billions.
It was a lot more than that.
Billions of dollars in future funding. And it's not just money for Columbia. I mean, this is about science. It's about curing cancer, the cutting edge, boundary-breaking science that actually benefits the country and humanity.
Tim, there is already some criticism that Columbia caved, including from within the faculty, right? But was this the kind of deal that they had to make when you hear her talking about things like curing cancer for the greater good? It was just going to drag on too long and cost too much more.
Look, I don't know the details of their research budget, and so I'll defer to the Columbia interim president on whether they need to make this deal for that. But this deal does not protect their academic independence. And we just played back-to-back clips. We have the Secretary of Education, a former fake wrestling executive, talking about how the federal government is forcing viewpoint balance on Columbia. I mean, that's what the administration is saying. A private university. It's totally insane. It's not conservatism in any meaningful way. I just can't even imagine any of the Republicans I worked for talking about wanting the Secretary of Education to intervene in what the curriculum is at a private university. It's crazy. What if a Democrat was trying to tell Hillsdale or Liberty what their curriculum could be? And there would be mass outrage. So I don't like this move at all. Maybe it's understandable because of the importance of the research, but just looking at it just from a free speech standpoint and a dealing with the Trump administration standpoint, the hostage negotiation element of this, we just saw on the Hill, Jean Shaheen said she's going to vote to advance Mike Waltz for ambassador to the UN because the Trump administration is agreeing to put back in place aid to Haiti. Like all of these sorts of deals, I don't know, just like giving the Trump administration what they want as long as they're holding very important stuff like science research and aid for Haiti hostage, I think it sets a dangerous precedent for the 3.5 years we have ahead of us.
Well, let's talk about settlements overall then, Tim. Columbia's settlement certainly isn't happening in a vacuum. We saw the settlement that Paramount made with Trump over the 60 Minutes interview. We saw multiple nations settle tariff battles. Is this, and this is what the White House would say, simply good deal making, Donald Trump making good on his promises, or bullying?
Yeah, I mean, if we were a banana republic, I guess it would be good deal making, having the president bully private institutions. That's not what we have traditionally been. We're a free country, a democratic republic, and where the capitalism, private industries have opportunities to make choices for themselves, not because they do or say what the president wants. I'm probably able on daytime cable to say what was on South Park last night, which is a Paramount property. But I liked a lot more South Park's attitude, making fun of the deal making that their parent company had made and standing up to Trump and representing free speech and sticking a finger in his eye. I like that attitude a little bit better than cutting deals with him and hoping that he'll be nicer next time. I don't think that's demonstrating the knowledge of Trump's behavior and his past actions.
I feel confident in saying you just drove a lot of traffic to South Park online, Tim Miller. Thank you. Feel free to mention Chris Jansing reports at any time in other venues. Appreciate that.
I will on the podcast tomorrow.
Thank you. According to a law enforcement source, Todd Blanche is at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tallahassee, where he's expected to meet with convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell amid the escalating call for more information about her longtime partner, Jeffrey Epstein. And that is just one of a torrent of Epstein-related headlines threatening to swamp President Trump and his administration. There's also the Wall Street Journal and New York Times citing multiple sources reporting today that Attorney General Pam Bondi told Trump months ago that his name was among many mentioned in the Epstein files. The Attorney General issued a statement in response saying, "Nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution, and we have filed a motion in court to unseal the underlying grand jury transcripts. As part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings." So I guess not exactly a denial, although a DOJ official told NBC News they could not confirm the report. Look, it would not be a shock if President Trump's name was in the files. They were friends. Both of them have said they were friends. Is Trump and his administration, are they complicating this? Could things have been handled differently? Just say we were friends. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if my name was in there.
I mean, things definitely should have been handled differently. It's hard to say how much they're complicating this without knowing what exactly is in the files and what exactly they found. Here's the issue for them right now, is that this has turned from kind of like a base management media narrative issue to a cover-up, like to a traditional cover-up that we've seen, from presidents in the past that has ensnared a lot of presidential administrations. This is the Wall Street Journal story is so important because it changes, the narrative from you can recall maybe a week ago what Hakeem Jeffries was saying. Well, they're either lying to you then or they're lying to you now. Well, now we know that what they're lying about, which is the fact that they know that the president of the United States was in these files regarding the investigations into a convicted child sex trafficker, and they won't tell us what's in there, and they know that he's in there, and they won't tell us what it is. So, and I think it's a traditional cover-up. It's a very important development in the story. And I think the other thing that's just worth mentioning, yes, it is true that just because he's in there doesn't mean he's guilty, and there are plenty of people that are in there that who knows what they actually did. But with regards to Trump specifically, I mean, Epstein's girlfriend, Stacey Williams, has accused him of groping her. Now, she was over age, but she's said directly that she went with Jeffrey Epstein to Trump's office and that he groped her. And then we also know that one of the Epstein accusers in 1996 mentioned Donald Trump when in an interview with the FBI. That is now out there. So we know that there are direct accusations about improper behavior. We don't know if they're in the files that were reviewed by the DOJ, but at some, in the past with regards to Donald Trump and Epstein.